Welcome to This is Thailand. I'm your host, and today's story is one that's going to stick with you. This is about Clyde, a 58-year-old electrician from Portland, Oregon, who thought he had it all figured out. After a medical crisis forced him into early retirement, he did what thousands of Western men do every year. He looked at his pension, looked at the cost of living back home, and realized the math just didn't work. So he came to Thailand, where his monthly income could actually stretch into something resembling a life. For the first few months, everything went exactly according to plan. He was disciplined, careful, tracking every baht like the professional tradesman he'd always been. But then something happened that he never factored into his careful calculations. He met someone. And that's when the numbers started to change in ways he never saw coming. This is his story, in his own words. My name's Clyde. I'm 60 now, but this story starts when I was 57, standing in a commercial building in Beaverton, Oregon, thinking I was having the worst case of indigestion of my life. Turned out it was my heart trying to kill me. I'd been a union electrician for 35 years, IBEW Local 48. I was the guy who showed up on time, did the job right, didn't cut corners, pulled wire through high-rises, commercial buildings, hospitals, good work, honest work, union wages and benefits. I wasn't getting rich, but I was doing okay. Had my apartment in Portland, drove a 10-year-old F-150, saved what I could, never married, never had kids, just worked. That day in Beaverton, I was running conduit on the third floor of an office building, new construction, standard job. Then my chest started hurting. Started as pressure, like someone sitting on my sternum. I figured it was the burrito I'd had for lunch. Kept working. Then my left arm started tingling. Then the pressure got worse. Way worse. I knew what it was. You'd have to be stupid not to know. But I'm stubborn, and I had another hour before quitting time, and I didn't want to be the guy who made a fuss over nothing. So I kept working for about 10 more minutes until I couldn't anymore. Sat down on a stack of drywall, told my foreman something was wrong. He took one look at my face and called 911. 40 minutes. That's how long I sat there waiting for the ambulance, feeling like an elephant was standing on my chest. Traffic in Portland's a nightmare, and the job site was hard to find. When they finally got me to the hospital, the cardiologist told me I'd had a heart attack. Not a massive one, but enough to do damage. Enough to change everything. He was blunt about it. Said if I went back to the work I'd been doing, climbing ladders, working in the heat, lifting heavy equipment, the physical stress of the trade, the next one would probably kill me. I was 57 years old, and my career was over. Just like that. The union got me on disability retirement. My pension came to $1,600 a month. I had about $28,000 in savings. For a guy who'd worked his whole adult life, who'd done everything right, who'd paid into the system and followed the rules, that's what I had to show for it. I sat in my apartment in Southeast Portland and did what I always do. I did the math. My rent was $1,400 a month for a one-bedroom. That left me $200 for my pension for everything else. Food, utilities, phone, internet, car insurance, gas, medical copays, $200. The numbers didn't lie. They never do. I started looking at cheaper places in Portland, cheaper neighborhoods, studio apartments, basement units. Best I could find was around $1,100 a month, and those were in areas where you heard gunshots on the regular. Even at $1,100, I'd have $500 left. $500 a month to live on, to eat, to get around, to exist. That's poverty, that's food stamps and Medicaid and giving up any dignity you thought you'd earned. I looked at other cities, Boise, Spokane, Tucson. Same story everywhere. Even the cheap American cities weren't cheap enough. Social Security wouldn't kick in for another 5 years. And even then it would only add maybe another $600 or $700 a month. The system I'd paid into my whole working life had failed me, or I'd failed it. Either way, the result was the same. I made a spreadsheet. I'm good with spreadsheets. You have to be as an electrician. Load calculations, material costs, labor hours. I listed every expense I could think of and ran the numbers for staying in the US. It didn't work. No matter how I calculated it, I was looking at a retirement where I'd be choosing between medication and food, where one car repair would wipe out months of careful saving, where I'd be living in constant financial stress until I died. That's when Dave reached out. Dave Martinez, old buddy from the union who'd retired 2 years earlier. He'd been posting photos in the IBEW retirees Facebook group, him sitting at outdoor cafes, him at temples, him on beaches, living in Thailand, Chiang Mai specifically. He sent me a message asking how I was doing, heard about my heart attack through the union grapevine. I told him the truth, that I was forced into retirement and couldn't afford to live in my own country anymore. He sent me a cost of living breakdown. Said you could live comfortably in Chiang Mai on $800 a month, live well on $1,200. My pension was $1,600. The math was simple. Same money, completely different life. I started researching, joined expat forums, read blogs, watched YouTube videos. Some of it scared me stories about guys getting scammed, married to bar girls who took everything, businesses that failed, visa problems, deportations. But most of those guys seemed reckless. They were falling in love in a week, buying houses for women they barely knew, investing in bars they didn't understand. I wasn't going to be that guy. I was careful, methodical. I'd spent my whole career calculating exact loads and voltages. I knew how to manage risk. I looked at other countries too: Panama, Ecuador, Portugal, Mexico. But Thailand kept coming back up. The cost of living was lower, the weather was better, the healthcare was surprisingly good and cheap, and Dave was already there telling me it worked. The decision point came about 3 months after the heart attack. I was sitting in my apartment, looking at my bank statement, looking at my lease renewal notice with a rent increase, and I realized I had a choice. I could stay in Portland and slowly go broke, eating ramen and living in fear of every unexpected expense, watching my savings drain away until I had nothing. Or I could take the same money somewhere it actually meant something. I gave my landlord notice, sold my truck, sold most of my furniture, packed what I could into 2 suitcases and a backpack. My sister in Eugene thought I was crazy. My few friends from work thought I was running away. Maybe I was. But I was running toward something too, toward a life I could actually afford, toward not waking up every morning doing math about whether I could survive the month. I'd fixed electrical systems my whole career. I knew what happened when you overloaded a circuit, the breaker trips, or worse, the wires overheat and you get a fire. My life in Portland was an overloaded circuit. I needed to reduce the load, or the whole system was going to fail. Thailand was the solution. It had to be, because I didn't have any other options left. I landed in Chiang Mai in October, early evening, still hot but not brutal. The airport was small, nothing like PDX, and I cleared immigration in about 20 minutes. Got my 60-day tourist visa stamp without any hassle. Dave picked me up in a beat-up Honda he'd bought for 40,000 baht, about 1,100 bucks. He was grinning like an idiot. The drive into the city, I just stared out the window. Motorbikes everywhere, whole families on them. Dad driving, mom on back with a toddler between them. Another kid standing on the footboard. No helmets. Traffic lights seemed more like suggestions. Street food vendors on every corner, smoke rising from grills, the smell of charcoal and spices I didn't recognize. 7-Elevens every couple blocks. Everything had Thai script I couldn't read, mixed with English here and there. It felt foreign in a way Portland never prepared me for. Dave had helped me find an apartment before I arrived. Studio near Nimmenhamen Road, what the expats called Nimmen. Young area, lots of cafes and bars, university students. The building was nothing fancy: concrete, 5 stories, no elevator. But my unit was clean. AC worked, hot water in the bathroom. Small kitchen area with a 2-burner electric stove. Maybe 300 square feet total. The rent was 9,000 baht a month. I did the conversion in my head. About $255, less than a fifth of what I'd been paying in Portland. First night, Dave took me to get dinner. We walked to a place he knew, outdoor seating on the sidewalk, plastic chairs and metal tables. He ordered for both of us pad thai, some tam, which is this spicy papaya salad, grilled pork skewers they call muping, and 2 big bottles of Leo beer. The whole meal for both of us came to 320 baht, 9 bucks. I'd have paid that for a sandwich back home. The food was different, spicier than anything I was used to. But it was good. Real. The beer was cold. I sat there in the warm evening air, watching motorbikes stream by, listening to the chaos of the city, and thought maybe this could actually work. Dave gave me the tour over the next few days. Showed me where to get cheap street food ladies with carts selling KO pad, fried rice for 60 baht, noodle soup for 40. Coffee shops where a cup was 40 to 60 baht instead of the $5 I'd been paying at Starbucks. He took me to Rimping, the big grocery store, showed me I could buy a week's worth of food for 600 or 700 baht if I shopped smart. Introduced me to 7-Eleven, which became my go-to for water, snacks, toiletries. Everything was cheap there. I started tracking expenses immediately. Had the same pocket notebook I'd used on job sites for material estimates. Every baht went in there. Coffee 60, lunch 80, dinner 120, beer 80. It became a ritual, writing it all down at the end of each day, adding it up. My daily budget was running under 300 baht, under $10, some days less. I explored the city on foot at first, getting my bearings. The heat took adjustment, mid-80s even in October, humid. I'd sweat through my shirt just walking to the market, but I got used to it. Found a gym near my apartment, 900 baht a month, about 25 bucks. Started going in the mornings before it got too hot, taking it easy because of my heart, just walking the treadmill, light weights. Doctor said I needed to stay active, just not push it. I visited temples. Wat Phra Singh in the old city, Doi Suthep up in the mountains. Beautiful places, peaceful. I'm not religious, but there was something calming about those spaces. The smell of incense, the sound of monks chanting, the gold everywhere catching a light. Tourists mostly, but also Thai families bringing offerings, making merit. It was a world I didn't understand but could appreciate. I found my routines. Morning coffee at a small cafe, afternoons reading or exploring, evenings at the night markets or having a beer somewhere quiet. Dave introduced me to a few other expats guys from the UK, Australia, couple Americans. Retirees mostly, living on pensions or savings. We'd meet up once or twice a week for beers, swap stories, complain about visa runs and Thai bureaucracy. The first of the month came, my pension deposited $1,600. I checked my notebook. I'd spent 22,300 baht in my first month, about $635. Less than half my pension, my savings account hadn't been touched, 28,000 still sitting there. The math worked. It actually worked. I video called Dave to tell him. He laughed, said, "I told you so." Said most guys spend more their first month, buying stuff they don't need, eating out too much, hitting the bars. But I've been disciplined. Careful. I was proud of that. I went to immigration to extend my visa, filled out the forms, paid the fee 1,900 baht, got another 30 days. Dave explained I could keep doing tourist visas for a while, doing visa runs to Laos or Cambodia every couple months, or eventually apply for a retirement visa once I hit my 1-year mark and had 800,000 baht in a Thai bank account. That was about 23 grand. I had that, but I wanted to keep it liquid for now, not lock it up for visa requirements. Month 2 was the same. I'd found my rhythm, knew which street vendors had the best food, which coffee shops had the good Wi-Fi, which bars poured honest drinks instead of watering them down. I joined the expat Facebook group for Chiang Mai, started seeing the patterns, guys asking about dating Thai women, guys complaining about being scammed, guys defending their girlfriends against the skeptics. I read it all like case studies, learning what not to do. I was cautious about the nightlife. Dave took me to a couple bars on Loy Crow Road once, the girly bars with the pool tables and the hostesses. I had one beer, watched, left. Wasn't my scene. Too obvious. Too transactional. The girls were nice enough, but you could see the calculation in their eyes. How much can I get from this farang? I'd read enough horror stories to know that path led nowhere good. By the end of month 2, I'd spent about the same, $650. My pension was covering everything with room to spare. I was saving almost $1,000 a month just by existing in Thailand instead of America. I felt something I hadn't felt since before the heart attack. Relief. Like maybe I'd made the right call. Like maybe there was a version of my life that worked, that didn't involve constant stress about money, that let me actually enjoy being alive instead of just surviving. Thailand was exactly what Dave had promised. Cheap, safe enough, interesting. The weather was good, the food was good, the people were friendly, even if I couldn't communicate beyond basic phrases. I had a routine, a budget that worked, a city I was learning to navigate. I told myself I was being smart, avoiding the obvious traps, not getting involved with bar girls, not throwing money around, not making the stupid mistakes I'd read about. I was doing retirement the right way, disciplined, careful, the same way I'd approached every job for 35 years. The math worked, and I trusted math. Math didn't lie. Math was reliable. I had no idea that the math I was about to do, the calculations about people, about relationships, about what things actually cost, would be the kind I had no training for. Month 3, I found a breakfast place. Bon Suan, 3 blocks from my apartment. Small family restaurant, maybe 8 tables, open-air front with a corrugated metal roof. Served Thai food mostly, but they had decent coffee and eggs if you wanted Western breakfast. I started going there most mornings because it was cheap and close and they opened early. Same waitress every time. Her name was Nok, mid-30s, I guess. She spoke good English, better than most of the service workers I'd encountered. Efficient, professional, but warm. The kind of waitress who remembers your order after the second visit. At first, it was just customer server stuff. She'd bring my coffee, ask how I was, smile, move on to the next table. But over a couple weeks, we started talking a bit more. She asked where I was from. I told her Portland. She said she'd heard it was beautiful there, lots of rain. I laughed, said that's why I left. She found that funny. She remembered I took my coffee black. Remembered I liked my eggs scrambled, not fried. Small things, but after months of being anonymous in a foreign country, it felt good to be recognized, to have someone remember your name. I learned she'd gone to Chiang Mai University, business degree. I asked why she was waiting tables instead of working in an office. She got a little embarrassed, said her family in Lampang needed her help financially, and service jobs paid okay with tips, more flexible hours than office work. She sent money home every month. It was just how things worked here, she said. Family takes care of family. I'd heard that before from other expats. Thai culture, family obligations were serious. Kids supported their parents. Sometimes their siblings, their nieces and nephews. It wasn't like back home where you turned 18 and were expected to make your own way. What struck me about Knock was that she wasn't working at a bar. She wasn't at a massage parlor or karaoke joint or any of the places where the transaction was obvious. She was a waitress at a family restaurant that served Cow Tom for breakfast and Pad See Ew for lunch. Regular job, normal life. That distinction mattered to me. I'd been careful to avoid the whole bar scene, the girls who worked the tourist spots. This was different. The first real conversation we had was maybe a month after I started going there. Slow afternoon, not many customers. I was reading on my phone, drinking a second coffee. She came over, asked if everything was okay. I said yes, just killing time. She noticed the tattoo on my forearm, the IBEW logo, the fist holding the lightning bolt, asked what it meant. I explained I'd been an electrician, union guy for 35 years. She seemed genuinely interested, started asking questions. What kind of work did I do? Why I stopped? I told her about the heart attack, the early retirement, the economics of trying to survive on a pension in America. She listened like she actually cared. She told me Thailand had different electrical standards, 220 volts instead of 110, different plugs, different regulations. I knew that already, had noticed the adapters I needed for my American electronics. But the fact that she knew about it, that she engaged with the technical side, impressed me. She wasn't just making small talk. When I tried to tip her extra that day, left 200 baht on a 70 baht bill, she seemed embarrassed. Said it was too much. I didn't need to do that. Tried to give some of it back. I insisted, said she'd been helpful, but her reaction stuck with me. She didn't expect it. Didn't seem to be angling for it. Most service workers I'd encountered would take whatever you gave and ask for more. Over the next few months, Nok and I talked more when the restaurant was slow. She'd sit at my table for a few minutes between customers, ask about my day, tell me about northern Thai food I should try. She introduced me to Ko Soy, this coconut curry noodle soup that became my favorite dish. Taught me how to weigh properly, the Thai greeting with your hands pressed month 7. Everything changed. Nok came to work crying. I could see it the second I walked in for breakfast. Her eyes were red, her face puffy. She tried to hide it, went through the motions of taking orders, but she was barely holding it together. I waited until she brought my coffee, asked if she was okay. She broke down, said her father had a stroke. He was in the hospital in Lampang, about an hour and a half away. She needed to go there immediately, but the hospital wanted money up front before they'd treat him. 30,000 baht. About $850. Insurance would eventually cover most of it, but they needed payment first. She didn't have it. Her mother didn't have it. They were trying to figure out what to do. I didn't even think about it, told her I'd loan her the money. She looked shocked, started to refuse, but I could see the desperation in her face. I said it was fine, that she could pay me back whenever, that her father needed treatment now. She started crying again, this time from relief. Said she'd pay me back, she promised, from her paychecks. I told her not to worry about it. We went to the ATM around the corner. I withdrew 30,000 baht in 3 separate transactions, handed her the cash right there on the sidewalk. She hugged me, thanked me over and over, showed me photos of her father on her phone, older guy, lying in a hospital bed, looking bad. Showed me the hospital paperwork with the cost breakdown. It was real. This wasn't some scam. This was someone I knew, someone I cared about, in a genuine emergency. She left for Lampang that afternoon. I didn't see her for almost 2 weeks. When she came back, she looked exhausted but grateful. Her father was stable, recovering. The hospital had treated him, and insurance was processing. She gave me 15,000 baht, half of what I'd loaned her. Said it was all she could afford right now, but she'd keep paying. I told her to keep it, that she needed it more than I did, but she insisted. Said it was important to her to pay me back, that she kept her word. That gesture meant everything to me. She didn't have to pay me back anything. I'd already written it off as a gift. But she did it anyway, because she had integrity, because she wasn't using me. I did the math that night in my notebook. 30,000 baht loan, 15,000 repaid. Net cost to me, 15,000 baht, about $425. My savings balance dropped from 28,000 to 27,575, still well within acceptable range. And I'd helped someone real, someone who mattered. Looking back now, I can see that was the moment, the first crack in the dam. But at the time, it felt right. It felt like what you do when you care about someone. Over the next 3 months, there were other requests, smaller ones. Her brother's motorcycle broke down. He needed it for work, delivering food, couldn't afford to get it fixed. 15,000 baht. I gave it to her without hesitation. She was grateful, embarrassed, promised to pay it back. She paid back 5,000 the following month. Her niece needed school supplies and fees. 8,000 baht. Education was important, Nok said. Her family was poor, but they valued learning. I gave her the money. She paid back 3,000 a few weeks later. Each time, there was context, there was explanation, there was gratitude, and often partial repayment. None of it felt like a scam. These were real problems that poor families in Thailand faced. I'd read about it in the expat forums. Thai family obligations were serious. Kids supported their parents, siblings helped siblings. It was cultural, expected, normal. I started rationalizing, telling myself this was part of being in a relationship with someone from a different economic reality, that my $1,600 pension and 20-some thousand in savings made me wealthy by Thai standards. And with that came responsibility. That helping Nock's family was helping her, and helping her was building something real between us. My savings dipped. 27,000 became 25,000, then 24, but I was still living comfortably on my pension, still saving 800 or 900 a month from the difference between my income and expenses. The money I was giving Nock was coming from savings, not monthly budget. That felt sustainable, controlled. Then she started talking about the coffee shop again. But this time it was different. This time it was real. She'd found a location, small storefront near Chiang Mai University, on a side street with good foot traffic from students. The building owner wanted 200,000 baht for a 1-year lease deposit and basic renovations. The space was raw concrete floors, bare walls, needed everything. Equipment and supplies would be another 100,000, total 300,000 baht, about $8,500. She wasn't asking me directly. Not at first. She was just talking about it, sharing her frustration, said she'd been saving for years but couldn't get there. That service work didn't pay enough to both support her family and save for a business. That she was stuck in a cycle she couldn't break out of. I listened to her talk about it over multiple conversations. She had notebooks full of plans, menu ideas, pricing, supplier contacts. She'd researched coffee roasters, espresso machines, furniture. She'd done the math on daily sales, monthly expenses, break-even points. This wasn't some fantasy. This was a woman who'd studied business and was applying what she knew. I started thinking about it as an opportunity, not just for her, but for both of us. I could invest in the business, become a silent partner. She'd own it legally. Foreigners couldn't own businesses in Thailand without jumping through major hoops, and even then it was complicated. But we'd be partners. I'd provide the capital, she'd run the operation, we'd split the profits. Maybe I'd make my money back, maybe I'd make more. At minimum, I'd be helping someone I cared about achieve her dream. She showed me the lease terms, introduced me to the landlord, showed me the actual space, small, yes, but well located, clean, right across from a Chiang Mai University language center where students studied. I could see the potential. It could work. I did the math. 300,000 baht was about $8,500. I had 24,000 in savings. That would leave me 15,500 in the bank. Still a cushion, still enough for emergencies. And I'd own part of a business. Have something generating income, maybe. At worst, I'd have helped Nock build her future, and we'd build that future together. Dave warned me. I told him about Nock by this point, about helping with her father, about the coffee shop idea. He said most businesses in Thailand failed within a year. Said foreigners who invested in Thai businesses almost always lost their money. Said I should be careful, get everything in writing, protect myself. I told him this was different. I knew Nock, knew her for months now. She'd proven herself by paying me back when she didn't have to. This wasn't Walking Street in Pattaya. This wasn't some bar girl I'd met last week asking me to buy her a motorcycle. This was an educated woman with a real plan, in a genuine relationship with me. He didn't push it, just said be careful. Said he'd seen a lot of guys go down this road. I should have listened. But I didn't, because I wanted to believe. Because I was lonely and Nock made me feel less lonely, because helping her felt like building something, like having a purpose again after years of just existing. I told Nock I'd invest in the coffee shop, 200,000 for the lease and renovations. We'd see how much the equipment actually cost and go from there. I'd be a silent partner. She'd own it on paper, but we both knew I was putting up the money. We were building this together, she cried. Told me this would change her life, change both our lives. That we'd make it work, make it successful. That she'd never forget what I was doing for her. I transferred the money the next day. 200,000 baht. Watched my savings drop to about $17,000. But I felt good about it, like I was investing in something real. The renovations took about 6 weeks. Nock was there every day, supervising the workers, making decisions about paint colors and countertops and lighting. I couldn't do much physically because of my heart, and because Thai regulations required licensed Thai electricians for any commercial work. But I stopped by to check on progress, offered advice when she asked. She was excited, genuinely excited. Talked about menu ideas, showed me sketches of how she wanted to arrange the space, asked my opinion on whether to go with modern or rustic furniture. I felt included, like we were building something together. The equipment ended up costing more than she'd budgeted. The espresso machine she wanted was 50,000 baht, not 30. Commercial grade, Italian, necessary if she wanted to make real coffee. Then there was the grinder, 20,000 refrigerator, 15,000 tables and chairs, 25,000 signage, 10,000. By the time we added it all up, we needed another 80,000 baht on top of the 200 I'd already given, about $2,300. I transferred it, my savings dropped to about 14,800, still above the threshold where I'd start to panic, but getting close. I told myself this was the last of it. The shop would open, start generating revenue, and I'd stop hemorrhaging money. Opening day was in early April, middle of Songkran, the Thai New Year water festival. Bad timing in retrospect. Everyone was out throwing water at each other, not sitting in coffee shops. But Nok was optimistic. She made flyers, posted on Facebook, told all her friends. I helped set up that morning, arranging chairs, stocking supplies, making sure everything was clean. The shop looked good, really good. White walls, wood tables, plants in the corners, chalkboard menu behind the counter. The espresso machine gleamed. It looked like the kind of place you'd see in Portland, honestly professional. Legit. We opened at 8. I was the first customer, ordered a cappuccino just to christen the machine. Nok made it herself, concentrating hard, getting the foam just right. It was actually pretty good. She served it to me with a huge smile, said this was really happening, thanked me again. A few students came in throughout the morning. Then some office workers on lunch break. By end of day, Nok said they'd made about 8,000 baht, $230. Not bad for a first day during a holiday week. Over the next few weeks, she'd show me the daily receipts when I came by. Handwritten in a notebook day, items sold, total revenue. Most days it was between 8 and 12,000 baht, 25 to 35 bucks. After rent and supplies and employee costs, she'd hired her cousin to help. She said they were breaking even, maybe making a small profit. Normal for a new business, she said. It takes time to build a customer base. I visited the shop maybe 3 or 4 times that first month, sat in the corner, watched Nok and her cousin work. But after a while, Nok said it might be better if I didn't come by so much. Said some Thai customers felt uncomfortable with a Farang sitting there watching. That she needed to establish herself with the local community, and my presence made it feel less like a Thai place. That made sense to me, actually. I was trying to help, not hurt the business. So I backed off. Trusted her to run it. Month 2, the espresso machine broke. Something with the pump needed to be sent to Bangkok for repair. 35,000 baht. $1,000. Nok was devastated. Said they couldn't run a coffee shop without an espresso machine, and the repair place wanted payment up front. I transferred the money. Savings down to about 11,000. Month 3, business was slow. Nok said it was the rainy season, fewer people out walking around. Could I cover the rent? Another 40,000 baht. I transferred it. Savings down to about 9,800. Then her mother needed dental work. Major dental work implants, 60,000 baht, about $1,700. Nok showed me photos of her mother's mouth, explained the dentist in Lampang said it was urgent, infection risk. I transferred it. Savings hit 6,500. I started checking my bank balance every day, sometimes multiple times a day. The cushion I'd had, the safety net I'd carefully built over 35 years of work, was disappearing. Not in one dramatic loss, but in a slow bleed. 1,000 here, 2,000 there. My pension still covered my personal expenses. I was still living on 650, 700 a month, but the savings that were supposed to last me decades were evaporating in less than a year. Dave called me in month 4, asked how the coffee shop was doing. I said fine, good, building up the customer base. He asked how much I was into it for. I told him the truth. About $9,000 total between the initial investment and the ongoing costs. He was quiet for a minute. Then he said, Clyde, I'm going to tell you something and you're probably not going to want to hear it. Most businesses here fail in the first year. The ones that survive usually aren't making much money. The ones that do make money, the foreigner never sees a baht of it. I told him this was different, that Nok wasn't like that, that she paid me back before, that she had integrity. He said okay, but get something in writing, some kind of partnership agreement, protect yourself legally. I said I would, but I never did, because asking for paperwork felt like I didn't trust her, and I wanted to trust her. Because the whole arrangement was technically illegal anyway, foreigners couldn't own businesses without proper visas and Thai partners and company structures. Because I'd rather lose the money than lose whatever we were building. The warning signs were there. I can see them now, looking back. But at the time, I explained them all away. Nok was always too busy when I wanted to visit the shop. Made sense she was running a business. The books she showed me were handwritten and vague. Made sense she wasn't a professional accountant. I never met her family despite hearing about them constantly. Made sense Lampang was far. They were busy. I'd meet them eventually. Her phone conversations in rapid Thai would stop abruptly when I walked in. Made sense she was probably just talking about personal stuff, didn't want to bore me. She was sometimes evasive about where she was or what she was doing. Made sense she had her own life, we weren't married. I told myself stories to make it all fit. Because the alternative was admitting I'd made a catastrophic mistake. Because admitting that meant admitting I was alone again, that the connection I thought I'd found was fake, that I'd thrown away my retirement security for nothing. My savings hit $4,000 in month 5, then $3,500, then $3,000. I stopped sleeping well. Started having anxiety about money for the first time since I'd arrived in Thailand. The comfortable life I'd built was becoming precarious. I was supposed to be saving money living here, not burning through my safety net. But I kept telling myself it was temporary, that the business would stabilize, that Nok and I would figure it out, that I'd invested this much already, I couldn't walk away now. That last part is what gets you, the sunk cost fallacy. I'd learned about it in a management training course years ago, back when I was a foreman. The idea that you keep investing in something bad because you've already invested so much, even though the rational move is to cut your losses. I knew the concept, but knowing it didn't help, because this wasn't just money. It was hope. It was companionship. It was feeling like I mattered to someone, and I couldn't admit, not yet, that it was all built on sand. Month 16, I was at my regular expat bar near Chang Phuet Gate. Nothing fancy, concrete floor, plastic chairs, cheap Leo beer for 60 baht. I'd started going there once or twice a week, just to get out of my apartment, talk to other foreigners who understood what it was like living here on limited money. James was there that night. British guy, maybe mid-50s, been in Chiang Mai for a decade. Taught English at a language school. We'd talked a few times before, usually about visa stuff or complaining about Thai bureaucracy. Good guy. Straightforward. We were talking about nothing much when he asked, casual as anything, "You're still seeing Nok from Bon Swan, yeah?" I said, "Yeah?" Said we were doing the coffee shop thing together. He went quiet, took a drink of his beer. Then he said, "Mate, I need to tell you something. I know her. She's married. Husband works for a logistics company in Bangkok, comes back most weekends." I felt my stomach drop, like that feeling right before the heart attack, but different, cold instead of hot. I said he must have her confused with someone else. There were probably lots of women named Nok in Chiang Mai. He shook his head, said no, definitely her. The waitress who used to work at Bon Swan, business degree from CMU, family in Lampang. Everyone in the local expat community knew she was married. Had been for years. He just assumed I knew. Assumed I was okay with it. I sat there trying to process it. James wasn't being mean. Wasn't gloating. He looked uncomfortable actually, like he'd accidentally broken bad news he thought I already knew. I finished my beer, told James the first had to go, walked back to my apartment in the humid night air, motorbikes streaming past, street food vendors grilling pork. Everything normal except nothing was normal. I spent 2 days telling myself James was wrong. Had to be wrong. Nok wouldn't do that. We'd spent months together. I'd met her at her apartment. I'd given her money for her father's hospital bills, seen the paperwork. None of it made sense if she was married. But the details James knew were too specific. And the more I thought about it, the more things started clicking into place. Why I'd never met her family. Why she was vague about her schedule. Why her phone conversations in Thai stopped when I walked in. Why she was sometimes unavailable for days at a time. Wednesday afternoon, I decided to go to the coffee shop unannounced. I'd been staying away like she'd asked, letting her run it without my presence making customers uncomfortable. But I needed to see it. Needed to see her there, working to prove to myself that this was real. I took a Songdiyu across town. The shop was open. Through the window, I could see customers inside, 2 young women working behind the counter. Neither of them was Nok. I went in, ordered a coffee from one of the women, asked if Nok was around. She looked confused, said Nok was her cousin, came by sometimes to check on things, but she ran the shop. Had since it opened, Nok had another job, something at a hotel, she thought. The cousin didn't seem to know who I was, didn't recognize me as a partner or investor or anything. I was just another customer. I looked at the books behind the counter while she made my coffee. Different notebook than the one Nok had been showing me. The daily revenue numbers were way lower. 3,000 baht on a good day. 1,800 on a slow day, nothing close to the 8 to 12,000 she'd been telling me about. I paid for the coffee and left, felt numb, like I was watching myself from outside my body. That evening, I went to Nok's apartment. She answered the door, smiled, asked what I was doing there. Everything seemed normal. I told her I'd gone to the coffee shop, that I'd talked to her cousin, that I'd run into James who told me she was married. Her face changed. The smile disappeared. She tried to deny it at first, said James was mistaken, that there was some misunderstanding. But I just stood there, waiting, and eventually she crumbled. She sat down on her couch, started crying. Said yes, she was married. Had been for 12 years. Her husband knew about me, knew about the money. It was complicated, she said. Thai culture was different. These arrangements weren't unusual here. I asked about the coffee shop. She said her cousin ran it, yeah. Nock had helped set it up, had a small stake in it, but it was her cousin's business. The money I'd given had gone partly to that, partly to real family expenses, partly to her husband's business debts. He'd had problems with a logistics contract, needed money to stay afloat. Her father's stroke was real, she said. Her mother's dental work was real. Her brother's motorcycle was real. All of it was real. But it was all filtered through this other reality I hadn't known about. The husband, the actual ownership of the shop, the way she presented everything to make it seem like we were building something together when really, I was just funding her family's various needs. She kept crying, kept saying she never meant to hurt me, that I'd been generous and kind, that she did care about me, just not in the way I thought, that I didn't understand how Thai families worked, how obligations worked here, that she had responsibilities I couldn't comprehend as a foreigner. I asked for the money back. My voice was flat, emotionless. I didn't yell, didn't get angry, just asked. She said there was nothing to give back. It was spent, gone into the shop, into hospital bills, into the motorcycle repair, into her husband's debts. Everything was necessary. Everything went to real things, but it was gone. I asked if I had any ownership of the coffee shop, any legal claim. She said no. It was in her cousin's name. I'd given her cash, no paperwork, no contracts, nothing in writing. I was a foreigner who'd helped a friend. That's all it was legally. I left. Walked back through the night to my apartment. The city looked the same but felt different. The street vendors, the motorbikes, the 7-Elevens, all of it suddenly felt hostile. Like I'd been living in a version of Chiang Mai that didn't actually exist, and now I was seeing the real one. I did the math that night. Had to. It's what I do. I'd given Nock about $20,000 total over 10 months, 280,000 baht, give or take. My savings account had gone from $28,000 to about $2,500. Everything I'd built over 35 years of union work reduced to basically nothing in less than a year. I wasn't totally broke. I still had my pension, $1,600 a month. That hadn't changed. But the cushion was gone. The safety net was gone. One medical emergency, one unexpected expense, one anything, and I'd be completely screwed. The worst part wasn't even the money. It was realizing how stupid I'd been. How all the warnings I'd read, all the stories I'd told myself I was too smart to fall for, I'd fallen for anyway. Just in a slightly different package. I'd avoided the bar girls. Avoided the obvious scams. Thought that made me careful. But Nock had gotten more money from me than any bar girl ever could have, because it felt legitimate. Because it felt like building something real. I'd spent my whole career calculating exact loads, planning circuits, making sure everything was precisely right. And I'd miscalculated everything that actually mattered. I gave notice on my Niman apartment 2 weeks later. Couldn't afford 9,000 baht a month anymore. Found a place in Hongdong, suburb outside the city center. 6,000 baht, about $170. Smaller, farther from everything, but that's what my new math looked like. Moved myself. 2 suitcases and a backpack, same as when I arrived. Hadn't accumulated much. Took a Son Thayu out there with my stuff. Driver charging me 200 baht because I was a Farang and he knew it. The new place is basic. Concrete walls, tile floor, single bed, small bathroom. Window looks out at a construction site. AC unit that rattles when it runs. But it's clean enough, and the landlady doesn't ask questions. I stopped going to restaurants. Street food only now. Cow pad from the cart lady near my building, 40 baht. Noodle soup, 35. I buy fruit at the market. Cook rice on my hot plate. My daily food budget runs about 120 baht, $3.50. No more gym, no more beers at expat bars, no more anything that isn't absolutely necessary. My monthly spending dropped to about $650. Rent, food, utilities, phone. That's it. Leaves me $950 from my pension to rebuild savings. Savings balance sits at $8,200 now. I add to it every month, watching it creep up. But rebuilding to what? I'm 60 years old. Can't work. Can't go back to Portland where my old apartment cost my entire pension. This is it. This is my retirement. I burned bridges with Dave. Too ashamed to tell him what happened after he'd warned me. He probably knows anyway. Expat community here is small. Word travels. I see other foreigners sometimes, at the market or waiting for songthues, but I don't make conversation anymore. Don't want to explain my situation. Don't want the pity or the I told you so looks. My sister in Eugene knows something's wrong. She emails every few weeks, asks how I'm doing. I tell her fine, everything's good, Thailand's great, she knows I'm lying. Asked if I needed money. I said no. Too proud to admit I threw away my retirement on a woman who was married the whole time. The worst part isn't the money. I keep coming back to that. I spent my entire career calculating loads, voltages, material costs, prided myself on precision, on getting numbers right, on being the guy who thought things through, who didn't make stupid mistakes. And I got these numbers catastrophically wrong, not the budget numbers. Those still work, barely if I live like this. But the human calculations, the assumption that being careful meant I was safe, that avoiding bar girls made me smart, that genuine emergencies meant genuine relationships, that watching my money meant I was in control. I thought not going to the girly bars made me different, better, more clever than those other guys who got scammed, but not got $20,000 from me, more than any bar girl could have dreamed of, because I trusted her, because it all seemed legitimate, because I wanted so badly to believe I'd found something real that I ignored every warning sign until it was too late. I see her occasionally, saw her at Maya shopping mall 3 months ago with a man, mid-40s, Thai, dressed well, had to be the husband. They were shopping together, laughing, normal couple doing normal things. She saw me. Our eyes met for a second, then she looked away, kept walking, like I was nobody, like we'd never met. The coffee shop's still open. I walked past it once, couldn't help myself, doing modest business. The cousin was working, students sitting at the tables I'd paid for, drinking coffee from a machine I'd bought. My money built something, just not for me. I spend most of my time in my room now, reading on my phone, watching YouTube videos about electrical work, trying to stay connected to the career I can't do anymore. Sometimes I walk around Hangdong, just for exercise, trying to keep my heart healthy. The neighborhood's more Thai than Nimin. Fewer foreigners. People look at me sometimes, curious about the old Farang living cheap. I'm not starving, not destitute, not on the street. I've got a roof, food, my pension keeps coming. By the metrics I came here with, I'm succeeding. Living on $1,600 a month in Thailand. That was the plan. That was supposed to be enough. But I'm trapped. Can't afford to leave. Can't afford to go back. Can't afford to start over anywhere else. This is it for the rest of my life. Living in a concrete room in a Bangkok suburb, stretching every baht, hoping nothing unexpected happens because I don't have the cushion to handle it anymore. Sometimes I think about that moment in Beaverton, sitting on the drywall, chest crushing, waiting for the ambulance. Thought that was the worst day of my life. Thought forcing me into early retirement was the catastrophe. Now I see it was just the beginning. The heart attack took my career. Thailand took everything else. Here's what I want you to understand. Thailand's cost of living is exactly what they say it is. The numbers are real. You can live here on $1,600 a month. I'm proof. But that's just the baseline. The daily survival math. The real cost comes later, when you've been here long enough to feel lonely. When you meet someone who seems different, who seems real, who makes you feel like you matter again. That's when the math changes. That's when Thailand becomes expensive. The money doesn't disappear in obvious scams. Doesn't vanish in stupid decisions you can point to and say, yeah, I was an idiot. It disappears in small, reasonable increments. Hospital bills for someone's father. Motorcycle repairs for someone's brother. A business investment that makes sense on paper. Each one justified, each one a little easier than the last. Until you look up and realize you've given everything to build a life that was never yours. I thought I was being smart. Thought avoiding bar girls and watching my money meant I was safe. But the danger wasn't in the obvious places. It was in the normal-seeming relationship with the normal-seeming woman with real needs and real problems. That's where I lost everything. That's where I'll stay living on $1,600 a month in a country I chose for all the wrong reasons. Having learned that the mathematics of money are simple, but the mathematics of loneliness, those are impossible to solve. That's my story. Make of it what you will. Clyde's story represents one of the most common patterns we see on this channel. Not the dramatic scam where someone loses everything overnight to an obvious con, but the slow erosion of retirement security through genuine emotional connection and cultural misunderstanding. His mistake wasn't trusting the wrong person. It was entering a situation where he was economically vulnerable and emotionally isolated, where every act of generosity felt like building something when it was really just spending down his only safety net, where the line between helping someone you care about and being taken advantage of became impossible to see until it was too late. For viewers considering retirement in Thailand on tight budgets, understand this: the cost of living is real. The savings are real. You can make the numbers work. But you're also moving to a country where you don't speak the language, don't understand the culture deeply, and don't have family or established friendships. You become dependent on the connections you make. And that dependency has a price that no budget spreadsheet can predict. Clyde did everything the forums told him to do. He avoided the bars. He was careful with money. He read the warnings. And he still lost nearly everything, because loneliness makes you vulnerable in ways that caution can't protect against. Because wanting to believe you found something real can override every rational calculation you know how to make. Thailand is affordable. Paradise on a pension is possible. But the emotional cost of isolation, the price of needing human connection in a place where you're always an outsider, where every relationship has an economic dimension you may not fully understand, the cost is real. And for men like Clyde, living on the margins with no room for error, it can be everything they have. This is Thailand, where paradise is affordable until it costs everything you have. Thanks for watching.